Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Happy 2022. God bless each and every one of you. It is good to be back. Much needed time off. But who's ready? Chaos, craziness, it's here. 2022 shaping up to be 2021, which is shaped up to be 2020. And we can have one of those. Yesterday, I'll be honest with you guys. I rarely take time off. And this year, and I do 2 shows. You guys know this. I get here extra early in the morning. I'm here late at night. I do a show here locally in Phoenix. I do one nationally. Plus, I do a lot of stuff in between. I do a ton of stuff. Rarely do I take time off. I took time off. I've got a little one. We spent more time together. My son was out here. It was amazing. I didn't tweet. You can go look at my Twitter. I finally tweeted. I tweeted like Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Like, that's it. I didn't tweet anything else. I didn't care to. I wanted nothing to do with anything. The only other thing I tweeted, I tweeted one other thing. One other thing. Harry Reid died. John Madden died. I said, somebody better hide Betty Davis. And within 24 hours, she had died. And I heard, Betty White, not Betty Davis, my bad. And I'm like, I killed her too, probably. And I'm like, oh my God, I can't believe I did that. But I didn't do anything. And it was amazing. And it recharged my batteries. So I thought to myself, I would look at the news sporadically. But I don't, if you guys know this, I don't watch Fox. I don't watch CNN. I don't watch MSNBC. The only other time I ever see any of them is when I'm in the other studio on my other show and they've got 4 or 5 TVs up and all this crap is playing, but you don't hear any of it because the reason is I just don't care, right? They're out there, they're spewing stuff and they're saying a bunch of baloney. And that's exactly what it is. Jesse Waters said something that I've been saying for years, but he said it out loud because, well, quite frankly, he wants everybody to know stuff, which is great. But I've been saying it for years.
He's met him halfway. He's given him open borders and reckless spending. They're still not happy. They want 100% of their agenda. They want total control over your life. People in the audience have probably dated other people like that, and we know how painful that can be. But do I feel sorry for Joe Biden? No. I work at Fox. I want to see disarray on the left. It's good for America. It's good for our ratings.
It's not good for America, but it is good for ratings. But it's not great for ratings anymore. It's not. Here's the reality of it. We're exhausted. I've talked about it for years. The exhausted majority. Who's the exhausted majority? It's you. It's I. It's people who are sick and tired of the exact same thing over and over again. And while we want something different, everybody else goes back to the same old BS over and over. Over and over. Here's the big insights that people should understand. Last year, 2021, gone. America's party idea. So this is the identification of what the United States of America is starting to look like. 30% identify as Democrats, 29% as Republicans, 39% as independents. 39% is the exhausted majority. And we are the majority. We don't want to see this crap anymore. We're sick and tired of this baloney. We are. We're over it. So me being gone for 2 weeks, which was amazing. And I'll tell you guys a little bit here and there. I mean, I don't get into it too much. I got a hole in one. That's all I care about. That's it. I'm like, boom, baby. 162 yards, 9-iron. Loved it. It's great. I love not getting, and I turned off all notifications. I don't want any of it. When I come back, same old, right? Omicron spreading everywhere. The CDC is changing the rules to the game because, quite frankly, they realize that most of these people aren't paying attention anymore. And that's what we're finding out. People have tuned out. It's not just COVID exhaustion. It's fatigue of anger. It's fatigue of frustration, of listening to people fight and never actually want to engage and actually finding anything that they want to do to get done. That's what people are tired about. Here's this, and this is a perfect example of what's happened. And remember, it's a business. People, like, I'm trying to get as many people to listen to me as possible. But I'm also realizing I'm going to alienate some people on the left. I'm going to alienate some people on the right. But the reality is, I know there's enough pie for everybody to go around. And the reality is, I'm looking for a certain group of people. I think that's you guys. You're smart. You're independent thinkers. I don't want you to believe what I say. I want you to go, that sounds interesting. Maybe I should look that up. Absolutely. So, percentage change in news consumption last year. And I lead with this because, quite frankly, I find this to be so telling. Social media interactions with news articles was down 65% from 2020 to 2021. Cable news primetime viewers almost down 40%. News media app downloads down 33%. Unique visit to top 5 news sites down almost 10%. Outside of Fox, CNN and MSNBC died a horrible death. And for those of you not keeping score, as crazy as Fox can be at times, the reality is just what Jesse Waters says. They want disarray. They like it. They lived for Trump. They're still playing Trump clips over and over again. They're going back to it over and over and over again. They're living for those. January 6th is coming up. My God, what will happen? Hopefully another riot. Hopefully is what they're thinking. Why? Because it's good for business. By the way, COVID business down big time too. It's one of the other things. The Omicron did not jumpstart America's engagement in COVID news like it did in the onset. Why? Because people are over it. They don't know where to go, what to do. Am I going here? Am I is it a mask here? But it's not this kind of mask. I got to wear a different mask. You want a negative test, but I got one, but it's not this negative test. You need a special negative test. Can you get a third? People are over it. They've tuned out. Rightly so. Because nobody's trying to actually win the day with truth. Nobody's trying to actually win the day with giving you the information, allowing you to make a decision. People are just trying to scare you into watching them. And that's sad. Absolutely sad. And when you look at some of these numbers, that's striking. Any other business. So tomorrow, if you woke up and your business had lost 65% of engagement and purchasing, you'd flip. If you lost 30%, you'd be like, what happened? Well, what happened was the person that was chaos and crazy went away. And everybody's trying to remake that. Coronavirus, right? It was the goose. Then they continued to goose. And the golden goose finally started laying regular eggs. That's what happened. And nobody's interested in actually talking about real things. Talking about stuff that matters. Inflation. We touched on it, and the only reason certain people talk about it is because they think they can hurt the other side. They're not interested in actually what's causing the inflation, how nasty is it going to get. And the other side only talks about it because their whole goal is to protect the guy who's actually the president of the United States because it's landing on his ass. And guess what? It's not a good look. It's very frustrating. Gone for 2 weeks, come back to the same old same. It's like when you leave your kids alone, you say, clean the house, right? Clean the house. And you come home in 2 hours and you're like, damn it, you guys did nothing. Everything's the exact same. In fact, it's worse. That's what I feel. It's going in because it sells. If it bleeds, it leads. It sells. And nothing's changed. We're going to do stuff different this year. We're going to have fun, as we always do. We're going to talk about good things, and we're going to point out the bad things, as we always do. But I tell you what, gone for 2 weeks, and the biggest telling thing for me, and I was telling my wife this, is my resting heart rate. My resting heart rate was 57 on average over the last 10 days. 57. That was awesome. It's at 58 right now. By the end of the day, I'll be at 63. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show's your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Love hearing from everyone. I hope everybody had a good one. Thanks to Craig for filling in for me for so much. I hope he had a good time doing it. I hope you guys were nice to him as well. It is good to be back. Lots to talk to. Crazy travel, crazy Omicron numbers, but let's actually talk about the numbers for real. For real. And Spider-Man, baby. Did it save the movie industry? We should talk about that as well. Rough Greens. My dog Doodle. 2 years into this, Doodle's still alive. Doodle is still alive and kicking. Even Jack said this the other day. He sees Doodle and goes, man, that dog's still here. I said, I know, right? Bouncing around, walking around, barking, having fun, still living his life. It's Rough Greens. It's the only thing we did that was different. RUFFgreens.com/Chad. Go there, get a free bag sent to you. All you have to do is cover the cost of shipping. I tell you what, I have never seen a dog turn around like I did with my dog Doodle, we thought about putting him down because of how bad his hips were and his arthritis. Here he is now, has been taking Rough Greens for 2 years, happier and healthier. Vitamins, minerals, probiotics, omega-369, incredible stuff. And all you do is a supplement. You just put it on top of his food. Nothing else. They love the taste of it, and they eat it up. I give it to my puppies, and I give it to Doodle, and it's helped him tremendously. Give it to your dogs. Try it for free. RUFFgreens.com. Go there now, /Chad. So you go there. All you do is cover the cost of shipping. You have to do anything else. They're going to send you a bag for free. RUFFgreens. Roughgreens.com/Chad. Get a free bag now. Rough Greens makes any pet food better. Chad Benson Show.
Podcasts are American as hot dogs, apple pie, football, and sushi.
Oh my goodness. No.
Okay, maybe not sushi. Next time you have a craving for something sweet and tangy, download a Chad Benson Show podcast.
Boy, that is good. It's different. You get a little bit of saltiness.
It's so good because it's sweet and salty at the same time.
Get a taste on iTunes, iHeart, or Spotify and binge to your ear's content.
Oh, yeah.
You're listening to The Chad Benson Show.
I did not travel. People ask me, you had 2 weeks off. Where'd you go? Nowhere. This is where I went. Christmas shopped, to a couple little stores, and golfed. And my golf, I live on the golf course. I live on like the 13th hole and the 14th hole. They're kind of right there. And I would just go up to the golf course, get my cart, go out and play. That's as far as I went, and then jack back and forth. So that was it. Like, there was no other travel. I don't want to travel. So many reasons. And I still go back to, I don't want to wear a damn mask for God knows how long. I'm not going to do it. Sorry. It's like, I don't want to wear a mask for hours upon end. 2 hours in the airport, then when you're on the airplane, and then when you get to the other side of it, and then whatever state you're going to, what is their insane or hopefully normal way of approaching this thing look like? And then you've got the other stuff, the travel delays, you got the storm. Hey, producer Phil, was that a picture from your house this morning?
Absolutely, right in front of my house.
So Phil is in Arlington. I'm out here in Phoenix. I was telling him it's so cold here that I actually wore jeans. Actually, I got new jeans. I wanted to wear them. That's what I bought myself for Christmas. But how deep is the snow? How much snow did you guys get?
Well, actually, I'm living down in Woodbridge, Virginia, so we got a little bit more. We got about 11 to 12 inches. Right here around Arlington, we got about 4 to 6.
Yeah. So Phil stayed last night at a hotel because he knew it was going to be nasty. Send us a picture. We'll throw it up there. Check it out. It is crazy that I don't need that kind of delays. I don't. Sorry. I don't want any of that. And then you throw in COVID and all of the flights that were canceled. It's a nightmare.
Airports from coast to coast swarmed with passengers as more than 5,400 flights canceled over the weekend. Southwest Airlines seeing the most cancellations in a statement saying, quote, there is no higher priority than operating safely. The crush of cancellations complicated even further by staffing shortages due to COVID-19. TSA alone had 2,609 workers out with the virus.
Yeah. So you had delays, you had weather, then you've got the COVID insanity, and now storm delays across the country. It's ugly. But we traveled because we're getting back to life. That's the reality. As much as they don't want us to get back to quote unquote life the way it is, we're doing it. We got no choice. Even over the time I was gone, the CDC flip-flopped from their insane, this is how long you have to stay out of work, and this is how long if you test positive, and for no other reason than, well, the public just felt like we can't handle this anymore, so we got to get back to it. Not based on science. Remember, trust the science unless the public says the science is hooey.
The purpose of it is that given the wave, the extraordinary, unprecedented wave of infections that we are experiencing now and will certainly experience more of in the next few weeks, that there is the danger that there will be so many people who are being isolated, who are asymptomatic for the full 10 days, that you could have a major negative impact on our ability to keep society running. So the decision was made, although it's not completely risk-free, of saying, let's get that cut in half so that we could have 50%, namely half of the 10 days, and 50% of that time, people can actually be out with a mask in society.
Yeah, because that's what they should be doing. It's time to live our lives. Some places are, some places aren't. Schools in other parts of the country are already figuring out how to shut down, delays. California, LA, they're going back to school today, but you have to have, I think, 2 negative tests, regardless of your vaccine status. I mean, this is the stupidity of which we're still fighting this thing, because some of it's the media that don't want to let it go. Money's too big, right? That money's massive. They're getting huge dollars from the pharma companies. Oh, that's the reality of it. And on top of that, it's still something to push. What would they be talking about if there was no coronavirus? January 6th? That's not moving the needle the way they want it to. So what would they be talking about? Infrastructure? Biden's bad numbers? Fair questions. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter and your Getter. Saw Joe Rogan moved over there. We'll talk about that. A lot of stuff still to get to. Happy 2022. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Happy 2022. We had a good holiday. Start your new year. Do your resolutions, right? We do goals. We do vision boards and stuff like that. I do it every year. The whole thing. Get the kids doing it, right? And because I think it's a good thing. Resolutions, you're gonna. It's like don't do this. And then when you, because to me resolution is always like I'm gonna give up this or I'm gonna do that. And then what ends up happening is the minute it doesn't go that way, or maybe you slide a little bit, you just like screw it, I broke it. So that's why to me it's always about goals. It's goals. And my goal this year is we're gonna have a lot more fun. We're gonna talk. We're gonna point out the crap and BS that goes on. We are. I told you earlier that, Joe Rogan, he's gone over to Getter. I'm on Getter at Chad Benson Show. And he did so because Twitter and YouTube pulled down Dr. Malone, who is a doctor. I know it's crazy, right? Like, what kind of doctor is he? Is he a doctor of pretend? Is he a doctor of what is he? Because he's not a real doctor. He can't be a real doctor and have differing opinions. It's about science. You got to believe the science. He's an American virologist. He's a virologist. Understand this. An immunologist. mRNA, pharmaceuticals, technology, drug repurposing research. That's his gig. That's his gig. He's not a guy that pretends to know something, right? He's not Bill Nye, the science guy, who's an engineer, not a scientist. He's not. This is a guy who is a real understanding, putting together. This is a dude who gets it. And also isn't a fan of the way this thing's been handled. Isn't. And they got rid of him. YouTube's like, you're gone. Twitter's like, you're gone. He's like, okay. So he's going over to get her. And I get it. I do. I mean, I absolutely get it. But it's so funny because, again, we go back to this wacky world of you can't have conversations anymore. Right? It's like it's us versus them. You can't have conversations. This was a real conversation, right? Of somebody who was a leader in mRNA development. So he's a leader in the vaccine world that they're using right now. And he can't have a conversation because his conversation revolved around the fact that, hey, you know what? You want to see the rise of fascism? And anytime you throw the rise of fascism, people are going to report that with the Holocaust. You can't do that stuff in Nazism. But he said his whole thing was it's a psychosis, right? It's mass psychosis where you become fixated on a leader or series of events on one small point, this, which makes people easy at that point in time to manipulate. How many people out there, and this goes both ways, people on the left and people on the right who are, for all intents and purposes, really good people, pretty damn smart, but they become fixated on the vaccine is evil or fixated on if you don't get the vaccine, you're going to die. Too many people. Too many people. And so they yanked him. And it's funny. You sit here, and it goes back to this thing I was talking about, is freedoms. I'm at the point in my life, and I've said this over and over again, and I tweeted something out yesterday. It's the same old same. I've been gone for 2 weeks. It's the same old. This guy's like, oh, COVID, 800,000 deaths. I'm like, yeah, it's the same old. How many of those people died from COVID? Well, all of it. No, how many of them died from COVID alone? Do you care about only the people that die from COVID? Because we're still at a point where if you don't die from COVID, nobody cares. Nobody cares. It's crazy. But we're at a point now where people are gravitating. They're trying to find other things where they go and they can have conversations. And there's crazy out there. But you know what? Why stop crazy from being heard? I have never understood that in my entire life. Was it Marjorie Taylor Greene? They took her off Twitter. They finally kicked her off. They kicked her off Facebook. Why? Well, first of all, some of the stuff she said, and I'm not a fan of hers. I think she's nuts. And, and I don't think she's not Antonio Brown. We'll touch on him in a minute. Who's got some serious issues, but she is a celebrity politician. She's a celebrity. She's in it for herself and the money. She's found a niche and she serves it, and she doesn't care what it does damage wise to anybody else, because I don't think she even buys into 90% of the crap that she does. But you don't get rid of crazy, right? If that's the way you think, you just allow it to be there for the public forum to debate. It's your company. You do what you want with it. But you also know, too, how many huge ads are being run on all these things. And that's where people don't look. Look further. Is Big Pharma running ads with Facebook? On Twitter? Bet you candy ass. Are they on CNN, MSNBC, even Fox? Oh, yeah, they are. Look, at the end of the day, you follow the money, you'll find out so many things. You follow the money, you'll find out so many things. So he's headed on over to get her now. I've been over there. It's interesting. it's not like, so you had Parler at first, right, that was going to try to come and battle with Twitter, and Parler just became the place that everybody was just, who believed that we needed more violence on January 6th. And there's plenty of those people out there. Not as many as people think, but they all gravitated. Getter's a lot different. You've got everybody, some people that are just curious, some people that do have a different point of view, and other people who, in fairness, are a bit out there. But but it goes back to being social media again. Social media is, you take it for what it is. And that's the best you can do with social media. Take it for what it is. I tweeted out something yesterday about a lot of this same old same. You got inflation, you got gas prices. Average price for a used vehicle is $29,000. Soak that in for a second. $29,000. I looked up my car. It was like 3 years old, but doesn't have a ton of miles on it. And it is worth more now than when I paid for it. That's nuts. That is crazy. Speaking of crazy, and I don't want to say that in a way that's bad, but I did watch the game the other day, and this did take place. And if you haven't seen it, it was everywhere. And I'm like, I will talk about it because, wow, that was wacky.
Very odd situation. Antonio Brown boiled over, very upset on the sideline, took off his shoulder pads. Mike Evans, O.J. Howard trying to convince him to keep them on. Obviously, they were unable to do so. He tossed his shoulder pads, stripped off his shirt and glove, threw those into the crowd, then ran across the field while the teams were still on the field, giving the crowd a peace out sign.
Yeah. It was nuts. So Antonio Brown had a ton of problems, and we were talking about, does he have CTE? Does he have CTE? Because over the last several years, there was some accusations about some women didn't play out, I think, the way that you're seeing with like Deshaun Watson. There's one woman. There was a second, but there's been accusations of fighting, snap temper, mood swings, all of these things. So here he is at the game, and they tell him, hey, you need to go in, right? You need to go in. And his thing for not going in is he had a bad ankle injury.
Midway through the game yesterday, Bruce Arians and the offensive staff told Antonio Brown to go into the game. They believed that he was healthy. Antonio Brown did not believe that he was healthy. He had been battling an ankle injury for the last several weeks, did not practice Thursday, did not practice Friday, and I know personally had some doubts whether or not he would be able to be out there and play. What he told the staff, from what I understand, is that he was not going into the game because in his mind, he did not feel he was healthy.
Didn't think he was healthy. Not the first person in sports to go, you know what, I don't know if I believe what they say. I'm going to do what's best. But he lost it. Let's be real. And if you haven't seen it, everybody has. He takes his shoulder pads off. He takes his shirt off, and he throws them down, and he's just standing there in his pants. He's he's giving peace signs to all the people in New York, and he's not flipping them off. And he's like, hey, peace out. I'm out of here. And he's asking them to cheer, and he's throwing his gloves and all the other stuff he has, and then he walks off. And then later on, people are seeing tweets, and it was tough to watch. But, of course, you have to react because they're asking people. Come on, say it. Say he's nuts. Say it.
If there's no altercation and it's just him tripping off because he's not going to reach certain goals on the receiving to get his bonus money of $1 million, then they need to put him in a straitjacket and take him straight to some hospital and get him analyzed.
Yeah, it wasn't just that, because he would have reached those goals, would have got a $1 million bonus. No, it was who knows why. But it goes back to another thing we've talked about. Does he have a problem? Does he have CT? First thing that producer Phil said to me, does he have CT? My wife said, is something wrong with him? I said, he's had a lot of issues. And if you listen through the last 2 or 3 years, you've heard people ask questions about him like, hey, we just want him to be healthy mentally. We want him to be healthy. There's the word healthy. And when you see him, he's ripped, he's yoked, he's in the best shape of his life. healthy isn't what they're talking about when it comes to the physical. It's the mental side. And when this guy says something,
for Antonio Brown, for him to pull what he pulled today is completely inexcusable.
Could you kill him?
Playoffs are coming up, and you pull this crap, it's totally BS. Inexcusable.
So, OJ, for you not keeping score. Tom Brady, though, afterwards, they asked him a question, because you had Arians come out, and he's like, he's not part of our team anymore. He's over. He's cut. Apparently, they cut him on the sidelines, so they told him, you're done. You're off the team, and that's when he super freaked out. Tom Brady, different perspective.
I think everybody, hopefully do what they can to help him in ways that, he really needs it. We all love him. We care about him deeply. We want to see him be at his best, and, unfortunately, won't be with our team, but we have a lot of friendships that will last. And again, I think the most important thing about football are the relationships with your friends and your teammates, and they go beyond the field. And I think everyone should be very compassionate and empathetic toward, some very difficult things that are happening.
Yeah. You're around that person every day. You kind of get a sense of he's got some problems. But how much of it goes back to what we've talked about? CTE. Is there more to it than this? Are we going to find out that he's got serious issues? Was he like this his entire life? Because wide receivers can be divas. But is there far more to it? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. Love hearing from all of you. Did Spider-Man save the theater industry? We shall discuss straight ahead. Chad Benson Show.
You stink like fear and white male privilege to me.
I do often out myself verbally as a gender. My pronouns are they, them, and I'm proud to be a gender.
Are you stupid? What? Are you kidding me?
Not a great way to use your white privilege.
Some people get it, some people don't.
You're listening to The Chad Benson Show.
We started getting some visitors.
Lots of people visited their local theater over the New Year's holiday to see Spider-Man No Way Home. It dominated for the third weekend in a row, earning another $52.7 million to push its 3-week domestic take to $609 million. That makes it the 10th highest grossing domestic release in history, just edging out 2018's Incredibles 2.
Hello, Peter.
Add overseas earnings, and Spider-Man No Way Home's global tally now stands at $1.37 billion.
What? Yeah. Did it save the theater industry? For a bit. We went, I returned to the theater, tried to take Charlie C. Sing 2. That didn't go well. But I took the kids. They went and saw Spider-Man. They loved it. I returned to the theater. That's the first time I'm back in, the pandemic got started in earnest where everybody was like, it's a pandemic. It was March of last year? I think in February we saw Sonic. And I hadn't seen a movie in almost, a year and a half? It's crazy. So 2019, I didn't see a movie at all in 2020, I saw one movie. And all the way through 2021, I did not see a movie. And then we went to try to see a movie, but it was packed. It was packed. And it felt like life again. And Spider-Man, you're starting to see now the maneuvers that are taking place. Because there still is no other, as much as I enjoy watching stuff at home, there is no other way to enjoy some of these things and get that experience than a movie theater. The smell of the popcorn, the sense of being there, everybody sitting there together. Then it goes dark, and then the previews come on, and oh my God, I can't wait to see that. And the sound, the whole. You don't get that at your home, no matter how good it is. The average person isn't getting anything close to that. And it was, it was packed out. So yeah, Morbius was supposed to come out this month. And that's another potential big box office behemoth. And what they thought was they were going to jump on the back of Spider-Man, but with Spider-Man just still continuing to crush, they said, let's move it out to April. We'll make it an early summer hit. It's got Jared Leto. It's another comic book thing where you got a doctor who's got a really weird, rare disease. He tries to cure it with bats. Odd, weird. Comes up with COVID. It's totally crazy. And what happens is he kind of becomes like a vampire superhero, but he fights much more with good and evil inside of him. So, but they needed that. They needed that because people aren't going to the movies. And how much of it is really COVID? I think a decent amount. How much of it's a pain in the ass to go some places? You think about it. New York, Chicago, Los Angeles, San Francisco. It's your 4 biggest markets in the country. Going to see a movie is a massive pain in the ass. I was talking to my uncle who goes to movies all the time. He's like, yeah, you got to have a mask in certain places. You got to keep it on all the time. They have people walking up and down the aisles. And it's just, it's, in some places they want to see your vaccines. It's people are like, why would I want to? I agree. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter and your getter. Tweet or getter at us. Check it out. Across the board. Got through the first. Oh, my God. We got through now. We're okay. Survived. Nothing's happened. We haven't been blown up by the giant asteroid. Thank goodness me. We're just getting started, kids. Are you ready? Buckle in. It's going to be a hell of a ride this year. Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
2022 looks a lot like 2021, but our reaction to 2022 is much different already, and I can tell that because we're just not paying the same kind of attention to stuff that we feel that we're over with. So I take 2 weeks off, come back. Not a lot's changed, right? Omicron is everywhere. The world's pushing back. They're sick and tired of COVID fatigue. They're sick and tired of lockdowns. You've got riots in Germany. You've got, we had 1 million cases in a day. Congratulations. And I just tell everybody this. Go look at the hospitalizations and the deaths. That's it. Are they different? Are they, Since the beginning of this thing, at some point in time, we've said we have to do what here? Learn to live with this thing, through this thing, around this thing, and eventually above this thing. That's what we have to do. And this variant right here may be what we end up thanking, because enough people will be exposed, had mild to no symptoms. That's both vaccinated and unvaccinated. And eventually this thing will peter out and it'll become, God willing, seasonal. That's it. That's it. And that's kind of what we're looking at right here. But nothing has changed. The things that have changed are things that, where they're changing the rules. Hey, remember when I said to do this? Well, don't do that. Remember when I said you guys, we should wear masks everywhere? You know what? You can wear a mask, but you don't have to wear it everywhere. Or you had to be inside for 10 days if you tested positive for it. Well, now if you're asymptomatic,
The purpose of it is that given the extraordinary, unprecedented wave of infections that we are experiencing now and will certainly experience more of in the next few weeks, that there is the danger that there will be so many people who are being isolated, who are asymptomatic for the full 10 days, that you could have a major negative impact on our ability to keep society running. So the decision was made, although it's not completely risk-free, of saying, let's get that cut in half so that we could have 50%, namely half of the 10 days, and 50% of that time, people can actually be out with a mask in society.
Yeah. Well, what? Because people are over it. Everybody's tuned out. They're looking at $5 and $6 gas in a place like California. Our gas is finally coming down here in Arizona. Thank God. It's still well over $1 something than what I paid for this time last year. People are frustrated at the cost of stuff right now, and that's only going to get worse as we head later in this year. The inflation thing is real. We could talk about it. I mean, he's come out, and God bless Biden for trying. I don't hate Biden. I'm going to say this over and over again because I one thing I did do is I listened to a few people. I don't watch any of the TV things, but I listen to a few people on the old podcast world, and the disdain for Biden and the attitude towards him is tremendous. It's people still wanting people to fail because it makes their side look good as if they get trophies. Biden comes out and talks about the economy.
Before we begin, I want to say a word about where our economy stands today. We're entering 2022 in a position of a unique economic strength.
Are we? It's weird. Our economy is both good and bad. Labor participation is absolute crap. But some of that is because people are choosing not to participate in the labor. Is some parts of the economy good? Yes. But this has always been, to me, this first 2-3 months of this year is going to be the real telling tale of where our economy goes. Because at what point do we see the slowdown in the stock market, especially if the Fed stop pumping money, right? Quantitative easing. They pump a bunch of money in there. Is that going to happen? It's a possibility. They've said, we may move. We're going to have not 1, not 2, but potentially 3 rate increases this year. What's that do? Makes money more expensive. Makes that thing you're paying on more expensive. Trying to slow down some of the stuff that's happened. Oh. You've got the labor shortage. At some point, it's going to catch up across the board. In some places it has, in some places it hasn't. A couple restaurants that I would like to go to that have just opened out by me. So I live, for those of you who are new to the show, God bless you. Thanks for paying attention to our little dog and pony show here in the Chad Benson Show. I live out near a place, just past a place called Casa Grande, which I call it the Valley of the Dirt People. And we were actually one of the, I think, 4th or 5th fastest growing areas in the country last year because we're close enough to Phoenix to get to Phoenix, but we're also further enough away that you're kind of out, you've got your own little world out there. And they've opened up a couple new restaurants, chain restaurants. One of them's Texas Roadhouse. I like Texas Roadhouse. They've had trouble staffing, and people going like, the food's great, but you got to wait an hour and a half sometimes to get your food. And it's like, oh, that's frustrating. That's going to eventually catch up. All of these things. I think last month was the last hurrah for a lot of people. The economy now is facing the reality of, what now? What now? Well, what now is those bills are going to come due. You're going to see rates go up. You're going to see, by the way, 22 states have increased minimum wage across the board. You're also going to see the supply chain that was broken start to really have an effect in a long-term pattern, not just the goods that we wanted because of the holiday seasons, but the goods that we need. And now you've got deep freezes and the reality of real hard winter in certain areas that could see oil prices, in particular heating oil prices, go up. So there's a lot that could be played in this. I want him to succeed. For those of you who want the president to fail, you are the person who wants the pilot to go down because you didn't like the pilot. Just like the people on the left didn't like the last pilot and hoped that it went down. Oh, let's hope this plane goes down because this pilot sucks. All I know is when I'm on an airplane, I want my pilot to land the plane safely. Not so I can prove a point. I could be disgruntled and may say, look, you know what? My pilot would have got us there in a smoother way or a little bit faster. But that's where we are. And that's what you're going to see this year. 2022 is full of conflict because conflict sells. Case in point, Jesse Waters, the things that we've been saying for years, says it out loud.
He's met him halfway. He's given him open borders and reckless spending. They're still not happy. They want 100% of their agenda. They want total control over your life. People in the audience have probably dated other people like that, and we know how painful that can be. But do I feel sorry for Joe Biden? No. I work at Fox. I want to see disarray on the left. It's good for America. It's good for our ratings.
Yeah, good for our ratings, good for America. That's the reality of where we are at this moment in time. It's good. It sells. If it bleeds, it leads. In 2022, we're going to face a bitter, nasty midterm that is going to shape a lot of things. One of those things is I called it 5 months ago, 6 months ago. I said, you wait. What's going to eventually happen? Oh, I called it 2 years ago. This is the way we're going to go now. Every time that this group, meaning the Republicans or Democrats, are in charge in this area, House, Senate, they don't like something, what are they going to do? We're going to play a game of, I don't like you, I don't like what you did, I'm going to find anything I possibly can to impeach you. Lo and behold, do you think that might happen?
The Democrats weaponized impeachment. They used it for partisan purposes to go after Trump because they disagreed with him. And one of the real disadvantages of doing that is the more you weaponize it and turn it into a partisan cudgel, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. I said at the time, when we have a Democratic president and a Republican House, you can expect an impeachment proceeding. That's not how impeachment is meant to work, but I think the Democrats crossed that line.
Ted Cruz. You don't think that? Everybody's like, no, people around here are like, that's never going to. Absolutely it is. We live in a petty, angry society in small groups of tribes. And the people that happen to be running so much of this, at least get the press, are tribal leaders and cult leaders. And they want to do what? They want to get their tribe excited. While the rest of us, the exhausted majority, which is the biggest tribe, we need to start speaking louder and getting all these SOBs out and putting in people that want to actually do stuff. Biden has failed in a lot of ways. He has failed in so many ways. That's true. But if we're going to have tit for tat, and that's what think about the things that you'd like our government to be working on, instead of sitting there. And we're still seeing it with January 6th. My God, they're going to relive that thing forever, just like Hillary's emails and Benghazi, right? And you name it. Because it's about raising money. It is about a ton of different things that never benefits you and I as the individual and as the collective group that's the largest. It benefits them the most. Party first, people. No, politician second. People, if there's anything left, you can have what's left. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Love hearing from all of you. MyPillow's got all kinds of goodies, tons of them, super deep discounts. There is no supply chain issues there. Just go to MyPillow.com. Use the promo code Benson when you check out, and you could start saving huge. Right, so whether it is the MyPillow, whether it's the Giza Dream Sheets, whether it's the mattress topper, you name it, they have got it. Just a ton of stuff. And the Giza Dream Sheets are great. The mattress topper's awesome. They've got the slippers, which are incredible. I gave them out as gifts this year. And they've got the MyPillow at the cheapest deal ever. Get it now. Save big. Use the promo code Benson when you do. Go to MyPillow.com, promo code Benson. MyPillow.com, promo code Benson to save big. MyPillow.com, promo code Benson. Chad Benson Show.
don't get into politics. As an ordinary suburban housewife, I feel a little disrespected. I teach my children not to name call.
You are a blabbermouth!
Come on, man.
Guys, can we please keep the chatter to a minimum?
Chad Benson.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0, ignition, liftoff.
Now it's time to find out what's trending. What's trending? Yeah, what does that mean? I mean something, right? Like it's trending on the old internet. What's trending? Let us find out what's trending. Let's start right here. Beautiful magical world of Twitter. Atlas Shrugged is trending. Why? Because Green Bay Packers quarterback Aaron Rodgers, that evil person, points to Ayn Rand's 1957 novel, Atlas Shrugged, on his bookshelf during his appearance on Peyton and Eli's Manning cast, talking about, obviously, COVID, the restrictions, the BS that goes with it, and, of course, somehow he's evil and bad. Wah, 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 wah. Patton Oswalt has apologized for having a friend that's called Dave Chappelle. He explains himself after a nice Dave Chappelle post goes sideways. If you didn't see it, so Patton Oswalt he did a concert, right? I think it was New Year's Eve, and Chappelle texted him, and he's just up the street and says, dude, come on over and do a guest set. I'm doing some stuff. I said, oh, cool. Goes down there, and let's remember, Chappelle is arguably the GOAT, greatest of all time. And what happens? He posted, and people attack him for it. How dare you? Are you transphobic? And it's hilarious to see the insanity. It's nice to know that while I was gone for 2 weeks, we couldn't grow up. Nope. Could not do it. Head over to Google. Morbius is trending. Morbius release date pushed back to April 19th. If you don't know what that is, it's a new comic book. He's a hero, but he's not a hero, right? He's a doctor that needs to save himself. He's got this rare blood disease and thinks about bats and then comes up with something, and he's like a vampire, and he fights good and evil inside himself. David Bowie sold his catalog to Warner Brothers for $250 million. That's his estate. Ben Roethlisberger, biggest thing trending yesterday, as he said goodbye to Pittsburgh in a win last night against the awful Cleveland Browns. They still have a chance to get into the playoffs. It's a chance. So you're saying there's a chance. I'm saying there's a chance. It's very interesting. I read because the playoff picture was the second biggest thing trending yesterday, and I read this. So they're pointing out all the playoff scenarios and how people could get in. If this happens and that happens and this happens and that, and if this does this and they do this and this. So there is one scenario where if Indianapolis is to lose to Jacksonville, which is always a possibility, it's why they play the games. If that was to happen, apparently the only way the Raiders and the Chargers could get in is if they tie. Who do the Raiders play? The Chargers. In theory, they could just each have 15 possessions of taking a kneel down, tying the game, and going to the playoffs. That would be interesting. You play to win, but at the end of the day, you play to win the Super Bowl. And you can't get to the Super Bowl without getting in. Maybe you play for a tie there. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
I was telling the guys before I was so rudely interrupted by the commercials. So the opportunity, if Pittsburgh beats the Ravens, which is a big chance, and the Jags, who I think won 7 of the last 8 against the Colts, even though the Colts are a far superior team, and the Jacksonville Jaguars are an absolute dumpster fire. If those two things were to happen, then both the Chargers and the Raiders could get into the playoffs, guaranteed, if they tied the game. They have to tie the game. And reading articles, I was like, well, the league would not stand. What's the league going to do? What is the league going to do? Your only thing that you have to do is play to win the Super Bowl. That's what you're doing. Right? That's it. And if you have a chance to get into the playoffs, you do that. And if you can go, look, we can kind of have a week off here, right? We could just, play some backups, run some guys to the middle, just punt the ball back and forth, miss on third downs. You know how it is. Not that hard. You don't have to. And I was telling the guys, in 1982, in Spain, in the World Cup, before that, they used to play the games like they do now, because this is the other thing. They're flexing the Raider game and the Charger game for hopefully the win and in scenario or something like that. So what ends up happening is they can do that with this. But back in the day, in the World Cup, they used to have, games would be played at different times, the last group game. And in Spain in the World Cup in 82, West Germany at the time played Austria, essentially the same country. And West Germany had to win by 1 goal, and then both of them would have gone through. And so they scored a goal early, and then the rest of the game, they just passed the ball back and forth. Nobody ever tried to do anything, and so they changed the rules. But at the end of the day, if it's about getting in, that's what matters. Well, it's for the spirit of the game. The spirit of the game is to win. You're a grown man. This is an organization that's worth billions. The spirit of the game is to get into the playoffs and win. That's the spirit of the game. The romanticism of yesteryear and the spirit of the game is gone. It's a business now. It's a business. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Speaking of business, Pabst Blue Ribbon. What?
It was 8:31 Monday morning when the first bizarre tweet was posted to @Pabst Blue Ribbon. Quote, "Not drinking this January? Try eating." When readers responded, the vulgar tweets continued to flow from the brewer's official account like so much Pabst beer. Some speculated that the company was trying an edgy new approach to social media marketing. Others suspected that the account had been hacked. Pabst later deleted the tweets and said it was the work of one employee exercising what the brewer called bad judgment.
Because it's what do they call it? Dry November? Dry January? I guess you're not supposed to drink alcohol. This isn't what Lent is for, right? You're giving up something for Lent. Now we have to have full months. So that was their response was, it worked. What did you expect to? Who's your audience if you're Pabst Blue Ribbon? Who's your audience? People that would find that funny is who your audience is. When other people are appalled by it, they're probably not drinking your beer, right? Because you're not waking up. It's like, dude, I'm not going to have any of that. I'm not having Pabst anymore, bro. Did you hear what they said? They told us to eat if we're not going to drink this month. Trust me, if you're drinking Pabst, you're probably not adhering to the spirit of dry January. What you got what they wanted, though. People are paying attention. They are. People are paying attention. Speaking of paying attention, my son is back in school, paying attention, I hope. But it's so funny with because one of his friends tested positive for COVID. And, so his mom went out and got him like 8 tests, and he's negative. And we were laughing about it, via text, he and I, about just this, it's a ridiculousness. Because I said, because with the rise, California, Los Angeles is just now going back today, but you're seeing across the country, kids are cutting back, being told they're going to have to Zoom again in some areas, and the teachers. And this goes back to living our lives and playing the game, if you will. Getting out there. Every one of us has gone to work with the flu. Every one of us has gone to work with a cold. Every one of us has gone to work when we've not felt well because we don't want to give up our days. It's like, I don't want to give up my sick days. I want to use my sick day for something fun. That's what sick days are for. They're for fun. I'd rather be miserable at work than miserable at home. Now, there comes a point in time, right, if you've got explosive diarrhea and you're vomiting everywhere, you're probably going to have to stay home. But by and large, we've all done that. And at some point in time, we just got to get back at it. But then they're like, well, the kids, right? I always hear, it's the kids. It's the kids. Fauci admitted something the other day, which should go for not just the kids, but for every one of these giant things we hear about when it comes to how many people are testing positive. But this right here shows you the BS that surrounds this and why we can't have a normal conversation. They're like, how many kids are it? Did you see how many kids are going? Kids have this? It's a record number. Well, hold on a second.
But the other important thing is that if you look at the children who are hospitalized, many of them are hospitalized with COVID as opposed to because of COVID. And what we mean by that, if a child goes in the hospital, they automatically get tested for COVID, and they get counted as a COVID hospitalized individual, when in fact they may go in for a broken leg or appendicitis or something like that. So it's overcounting the number of children who are, quote, hospitalized with COVID as opposed to because of COVID.
Which has been so much of what we're seeing. Because we've got this thing where we need to test every 5 tests. Everybody needs to test. Somebody go out and test. Get away from testing. If you don't feel good and you feel the need to go get tested because you can be around people, then you do. If you don't feel good and you're working out of the house, why do you need to go get tested? Well, what if I'm really, well, if you've been vaccinated and you're in pretty decent shape and you're a little bit younger, yeah, I could see it. But it's to me, I said it the other day, it's statistics porn. Where they're rolling out statistics, but the statistics don't really match the reality of the story. It's an article, I think it was in the Washington Post, New York Times, about Puerto Rico being under deluge of all of this stuff. They've never seen anything like it. But then you get down to like the 90th paragraph, in the article, and it's like, oh, by the way, they've only got 300 people in the hospital because of COVID. So wait a minute, you're talking about, because it's in numbers, it's about scaring, and there's a psychology to it.
We're going to be working to unwind the sort of testing psychology that our federal leadership has managed to, unfortunately, get most of the country in over the last 2 years. We need to unwind this planning and living one's life around testing. So, it's really time for people to be living, to make the decisions they want regarding vaccination, to enjoy the fact that many people have natural immunity.
Which we can't ever talk about, right? Because, you can't talk about that, Chad. It's not very nice. It's crazy. But that goes back to the lunacy of it. Kids back in school, stop. Another part of the reason the economy, I think, is going to be in a position, at least over the next several weeks, where you don't know if your kid's going to be in school tomorrow or not. And you got childcare through the roof, and all of these things are playing out. And it's because you've got these bizarre, let children be children. They're not going to the hospital in greater numbers. You heard it from Fauci. It's the same thing. When you go to the hospital, who's in there mostly? Unhealthy people who are unvaccinated. But by the way, there are a lot of everything. They're unhealthy. They're unvaccinated. They're smokers. They are people who don't care too much about getting fit or working out. I mean, there's a lot of things you can go into. Yes, there are some people out there. There are genuinely some people who are very fit and have gotten something and have died. That has happened. Period. Case closed. We all know that. End of story. Can't take that away. Yes. But how much of that is the reality of this? None. It's numbers porn. You twist it, you play the game, and then you get people to see what you can get people to do. Well, can I get people to do this? Can I get people to do that? Maybe. Maybe we can get people to do this over here. It's so stupid. It is so stupid. And it's frustrating. Think about this. This is CNBC's Becky Quick, right? She's talking about her kids in school. And this is something that Jack was going through at the beginning of this before they finally shut everything down last year.
One of my kids' schools said, we would appreciate it if students would wear masks at all times, including in between bites, which is about the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Maybe we can ask them to stop breathing in the buildings, too.
If you're that afraid to be around children because they could be unmasked or something, then you shouldn't be anywhere. But this all plays into the world that we're living in. And as we head into 2022, and we're in it now, right? We've crossed in that. It's like one of those things where I don't know if I want to be on this roller coaster. You have a choice now. We have left the area where you could have gotten off the ride, if you will. And we're now into 2022. And we've taken off. And we're still going to hear crap like, hey, maybe our kids should not breathe. Oh, Chad, spit much. Okay, take a bite, put your mask on, take it off, take a bite, put your mask on, take it off, take a bite. I couldn't even imagine that. I couldn't even imagine that. As an adult, is there no other adults in any of these meetings to go, guys, have none of you ever been around kids? Am I the only person that's ever met a child? You should really mask your 3-year-old. I like it when she wears pants, all right? We're going to go with that. Her shoes are on opposite feet, and she's got pants on sometimes, if it's not a princess dress, right? So that's what I would say. Is any of you ever met kids? Well, I've never met a child per se. I just like to tell them what to do. Like I'm looking at somebody outside right now. I have a beautiful view outside. Somebody walking around and they got a mask on. It's 60 degrees outside and they're by themselves. What do you think is going to happen to you? Just curious. Do you think it makes you invisible? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Love hearing from all of you. A lot of still, just so much stuff to get to. Ed Sheeran is annoying. I think we all know this, but the fact that he's one of my kind, we need to take away and give him a soul and kick him out. We shall discuss that straight ahead. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Hashtag me too. Hashtag immigration reforms. Hashtag help. I'm trapped in a hashtag factory and I can't get out. The Chad Benson Show.
That is me, kids and kittens. Thanks so much for following along. Check out all our social media at Chad Benson Show. Grab the podcast as well. So we're on Getter. We're on Twitter. Get the podcast where great podcasts are available. Absolutely free. Doesn't cost you a penny. I am a redhead. Although I have shaved my head bald, I could grow my hair out. I like it. It's easy for me to get up with. My wife says, you know, we got together. She's like, oh, I'd love a little ginger. I'm like, be careful what you wish for. And, you know, Jack's a little strawberry blonde. She got red hair. And she got the fire in her eyes, like me. And being a ginger is awesome, right? We are a much maligned group. No souls, right? We get talked out. Oh, you got no soul. Got a lot of things. But we also get stuck with some ding-dongs. Ed Sheeran is one of them. And he's upset about South Park.
I was watching South Park earlier, and I can show you. Cartman is saying this.
Sweetie, what is... Ah! I'm ginger!
From his outward appearance, I would say he has the standard skin pigment deficiency.
You mean...
Yes, I'm afraid that your son is suffering from gingivitis.
Having red hair in England was always like a thing that people took the piss out of you for.
Yeah.
But it was never something in America. People never knew what a ginger was in America. That episode of South Park ruined my life.
Really?
Yeah.
You know how many times when I was a kid, and I had bright red hair, I was called Orville Redenbacher and had as he would say, the piss taken out of me, tons. Now, you see it a little bit more in England. You have some more gingers, obviously because of the Irish. Less here, but still. To be whining about the fact that you're a ginger. You have superpowers. You're a ginger.
Oh, man. Because I was going to America and everyone was like, I love your hair, dude. And I'd be like, oh my God, people like my hair? And then I remember that episode coming out and then that was just it worldwide for the rest of my life.
I believe you're more of a Simpson guy anyways.
No, I love South Park. And I hope if I'm ever on South Park, I hope I'm allowed to voice my character, even if it's like very offensive. I would love to voice my character.
Yeah. Well, of course, we'd all love to voice our own characters. But redheads are awesome. We have a different kind of pain threshold, too. We are harder to sedate than average folk. What? Yeah, we require more anesthesia. We're more prone to certain diseases, and we experience pain in a much different way. Some people have red hair, a little bit more sensitive on the skin side of things. But on the inside, a little less sensitive. Meaning, because of the red hair, the fair skin, if you will, that there's a chance that you may feel certain things a little bit different, right? One test, they said, showed redheads are less sensitive to a particular type of pain. They react less to pressure close to the injected area or to a pinprick, but they seem a bit better protected. And, of course, we have no souls, right? But redheads also are more vulnerable to toothaches and apparently more afraid of the teeth. Doctor. Yeah. And they're more likely to suffer from several diseases such as scoliosis. And the reason is that it's because, yes, because we come from that great line of the Irish, the potato people. We are a scarce people. Stop bitching about your red hair. Enjoy it. You are a superhero when you have red hair. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. I did watch a few viral funny things over the holiday, including this one.
Watching Mayor de Blasio.
Don't go on a rant.
Victory lap dance. After 4 years of the crappiest term as the mayor of New York. The only thing that Democrats and Republicans can agree on is what a horrible mayor he has been. So, sayonara, sucker.
I love that. Andy Cohen. What I loved the most was watching Anderson Cooper's like, don't do this, don't do it. No, I'm going to do this. It was awesome. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter, your Getter. Check out the YouTube as well. It's the Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Happy 2022. It's the first show of the year. Thanks to Craig filling in for me. Enjoyed some time off. Much needed R&R. First time I've taken some real time. And I took time away, too. I've gotten to the point now where I scan the news every day or so. But I don't delve deep into it. I keep aware of stuff, but I'm not tweeting. I'm not on Twitter or Instagrams or any of that. I want to be as far away from it as possible. And I even turn off my alerts because I want to enjoy myself. It was great to be. I can see why, Biden came out and he talked about the economy. And, he just looks lost. I mean, I think we can all, if we're honest with ourselves, we can say he's just doesn't know what to do at this point. He's lost.
Before we begin, I want to say a word about where our economy stands today. We're entering 2022 in a position of a unique economic strength.
What? No. I mean, I don't know where 2022 is going to go with, you've got an election. We got 1 million cases yesterday of Omicron in a 24-hour period, but the hospitalizations aren't through the roof. And the people that are going to the hospital, by the way, we can see who they are. When you see somebody who's 300 pounds and they're 5'2", and they're like, they didn't get the flu shot, and they're completely unhealthy, and they're 68 years old, and we know exactly who they are, and if they got the flu, they're probably going to the hospital. There's a possibility. Right? Like, they've got COPD. They're struggling anyways in a lot of ways. We understand who those people are. But here we are, another 1 million cases. But the economy itself is weird because it's strong in some areas, but labor participation is the lowest it's been in forever when you look at the relative size. People are just done. And some of it has to do with early retirement. Some people said the first time this thing rolled out, I'm out. I don't need it. I'll figure it out. I got enough. Other people are like, I was forced to go home now. I don't know if I want to go back. And then you got a lot of people out there, you got child care issues, but you've also got people out there that were like, you know what, I like hanging out with my family. I like having some time off. I like being able to do some things. Maybe I need to do something different. And they're piecemealing it together. Now, that's going to eventually have that will bring people back to the workforce if you don't have a real understanding on how to do that. By that, I mean, you think, oh, yeah, I could do this. But for a time, like everybody could sell a house in this market if you're a real estate agent. Right? If you're a car salesperson and you've got inventory, you're going to sell right now. People want cars and there's not enough. The demand is great. So it's great salespeople. It's great people in when times are average or down, they get past it. So I think a lot of people will eventually gravitate back towards something, but they don't feel like they have to. We're not in a great time as far as our economy goes. Inflation sucks, and it's not going anywhere. Let's remember a year ago, we were like, oh, don't worry about inflation. It's going to be temporary. By the end of the first quarter, it'll be gone. And then it was, by June, July, it'll be gone. Then it was, hopefully, by the end of the third or early fourth, it's gone. And then you got Janet Yellen going, it's probably going to be here through next year. Well, next year is here. And those bills that everybody paid, we're hoping weren't going to come, are coming because those people paid those things that you wanted. And we all wanted last year, especially at the end of the year. We spent more money at the end of the year than we were, quote unquote, supposed to or thought we were going to. So this economy, I think, is going to slow down a bit. And then you've got the stock market. Well, stock market's great. Well, quantitative easing has a lot to do with it. That's where they throw a ton of money at the stock market, the Feds, and they're going to start slowing that down. And then you got to take on to the fact that we're going to be raising rates. Money's going to be more expensive. They're trying to balance everything out, the supply. So you got supply side economics, right? Where you look at the supply side, you got the demand side, you've got all of these things are playing. It's not the great economy. It's not an awful dead economy. It's got a heartbeat in some areas. In some areas, it's okay. In other areas, it's on life support. It's not super flourishing. But you couple all of those things in with the fact that we're still sitting here fighting and talking about Omicron. How long is this damn thing going to be here? And is this the final wave?
This is not going to last very long. We're going to be in the throes of this wave of infection for maybe a month. Here in the Northeast, I think you're going to see infections peak out within the next 2 weeks. So hopefully New York City does find a peak within the next 2 weeks. London, which is about 2 to 3 weeks behind New York City, has already peaked and is probably on the way down. So this is a very fast-moving wave of infection. On the back end of this, hopefully we're done with COVID for a while. We'll have enough immunity in the population between vaccination or infections. So we really need to get through this month.
Yeah. So you've got tons of stuff playing into this. And this is how we're starting 2022, which eerily similar to 2021, which was a shock for us in 2020. And here we are. This year, I think we're going to have ebbs and flows. Now you're going to take all of that into account with the fact that we're going to have a midterm where politicians are going to be fighting and spending tons of money, where politicians are going to be, and COVID plays right into it. These people over here want to take everything away from you and your freedoms and your choices. These people over here don't care if you die on the streets as long as you don't have to wear a mask. And that's never getting any of the truth, never getting anything real. And it's because we've set up cults and tribes. That's what happens. The tribe has become a cult. Because you have very few people who are leading things and getting people to bite into everything. And it's so frustrating. 2 weeks I was gone. Nothing's changed. The arguments are the exact same. Nobody's trying to do anything different. Everybody's demonizing the other side. And you would think, man, wouldn't it be great if we had a group of people, we'll call them politicians, for the people, who came out to fight for the people, who came out to have an honest conversation about stuff, and realizing they weren't going to get everything, and the other side realizing they're not going to get everything. But now it's about running. It's about running for re-election. It's about winning whatever it is that you're trying to sell to the people that you're selling it, so you can continue to raise money, so you can continue to get put back in place. It's not about solving problems. And that is my frustration. And this year, I'm telling you, we're going to do things differently. We're going to have fun, because that's what we do. I don't know how to do anything else. But we're going to come at it hard, in real ways, and we're talking about real stuff, which is what we've always done. You know, people always say, this is one guy, he's always on me, it makes me laugh. He's like, oh, both sides, Benson. I'm like, both sides? Yeah, I give both sides a perspective. That's what you do. You want your side to only have a perspective and your side to be right. Everybody's got their own perspective. If I live on one side of the street and you live on the other side of the street, and a car drives down the middle of the street, you're going to see your side of the car. I'm going to see another side of the car. Each of us have perspective. Both of us saw a car. Maybe we saw something a little bit different. Maybe it affected us differently. It didn't do anything to me, but it splashed water on you. You can't have a conversation anymore. You can't. And that's what I want to do. I want to bring back, not civility, because civility is you know what? I always laugh about that. We've been uncivil to each other forever and a day, right? We've been completely, if you go back and look at the 1700s, 1800s, you go back and look at the printed word, then the printed, when we had the newspaper and stuff, we have been uncivil to each other in politics for a very long time. It's about having conversations, agreeing to disagree, even at times being vigorous and worked up about it, but then going, all right, we have so many other things in common. Where's your stance on the vaccine? You know how much I got? Because I'll say this. I got a booster shot. Why? Because it was easy. What did I tell you guys about, would you get a booster shot? I said, if it's in front of me and I don't have to do anything, I'm getting a booster shot. It's the day after my birthday, and I'm playing golf at my little golf place out in Arizona City, which is awesome. Our club is set up and went through 2 years of doing nothing, and they renovated, and they've turned this awesome golf course, and the community owns it. And one of the people there says, hey, Chad, we've got a booster if you want. I got all of them, and they got free kits. And it's on my golf cart. I just turned left as I'm going across the 18th, and it's like literally 15 seconds out of my way. I was there for 15 minutes. Would I have set out to do it another way? No, probably not. Will I be getting any more? I doubt it. Am I for getting a vaccine? Yeah, because science is amazing. But you'd be surprised about the insanity of which people will attack you for that. And I got it. Even saying Happy New Year the other day, people attacked me. It's crazy. Civility, we'll bring it back. We can be uncivil when need to be, but then we always try to get back to some civility. If we're 95% civil and 5% at times uncivil when we need to be, if you will, because nobody's going to be 100%. That's a good thing. I think better. Right now, we're reverse. We're 5% civil and 95% uncivil to each other. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us. Text the program. Love hearing from all of you. Check out The Getter as well on YouTube. Rough Greens makes any pet food better. Give it to my dogs every day. My dog Doodle, I think we're going on, 2-3 years I've been giving him Rough Greens. We were going to put him asleep a few years ago. He's in the better position than he's been in forever and a day, and it's just a supplement. We sprinkle on top of his food. Vitamins, minerals, probiotics, omega-3, 6, 9. All this incredible stuff. We sprinkle it on top, and boom, it brings his food to life. And it has given him a lease on life. His hips don't hurt. He feels better. He's happier. He's bouncier. He's got more energy. It is incredible. Right now, you can try it before you buy it. You go to ruffgreens.com/Chad. That's ruffgreens.com/Chad. When you do, you're going to get a bag for free. You cover the cost of shipping. It is truly amazing. Put it to the test. They're putting their money where their mouth is. Not many people can say that. ruffgreens.com/Chad. ruffgreens.com/Chad or call 833-MyDog77, 833-MyDog77. Rough Greens makes any pet food better.
Wanna be, boys? Give me a bowl of chili with plenty of peppers. One Mexican heartburn. Why don't you mugs grow up?
The Chad Benson Show, where independent a la carte thinkers have a seat at the table and a voice in the dialogue.
I'll have what she's having.
This is Chad Benson.
As a vaccinated person, I contracted COVID from another vaccinated person. So whoever is still chirping this godforsaken bug is being solely transmitted by the unvaccinated is also full of the hottest garbage.
Hot garbage, you say? Kennedy, one of the few people that I will watch. Yeah, it's so weird. It's like, can vaccinated people spread it? Well, they can. I mean, yeah. Is it less likely? Of course. This goes back to flamethrowing, right? So you got to give the hottest take you can. It doesn't have to make sense. It doesn't. And it doesn't have to be correct. You could take something small, right? So you're saying there's a chance, just something minuscule, and you blow it up huge. Brrr. Do people, though, look, this Omicron, everybody has a date with it. Everybody does. Everybody's got a date with Omicron. It's coming. Be prepared. In the next 2 weeks to a month, you probably are going to, if not get it, be exposed to it. You may have already had it. It's coming. Is what it is. Can't stop it. I always go back, it's when somebody asks me, like, what do you think this is, like, remind you of? And I say, you know what? First of all, I said, was it the third installment or the fourth installment of with Claire Danes and in the Terminator movies, where at the end of the movie, he says, I've done everything. The guy that's trying to stop it. The guy's playing John Connor. I've done everything. And that's when she realizes you can't stop it. Right? You can't. We joke about it all the time with nature. Nature will mess you up. You can't stop some things. You're trying to control a tsunami. At some point, it's going to have to do what it does. That's just it. So now the question is not, okay, we can't stop it, so what do? Well, we learn to live with it. Through it, above it, around it. That's what we learn to do. And eventually, there's going to be no, like, end of the road where it's like somebody comes on TV and goes, we've decided today, and they, like, some guy from the World Health Organization, and then you get somebody going, so today is the day that we have declared that the pandemic is over, but it is still an endemic, blah, blah. You're not getting that. What are you going to get? Eventually, people are so bored with it, life goes on to normal, that it slides into the background, that enough people have been exposed, and or the politics of trying to force people to get a vaccine is over, and you just let it be, that It just happens. It's going to be just as natural as can be. It will slowly but surely fall into the background. And then we'll hear about it if it becomes seasonal, like we do the flu. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. I probably said something in horrible, cursed language in French. If I did, I would apologize, but I didn't know what I said, so I'm not going to apologize. Chad, that's not very nice. Betty White passed away. We're going to talk about that because people got mad at me because I tweeted out something. And then I had to explain to some people, right? I had to explain to some people and actually lay it out for them. And then they went, oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. But I'll explain that. Tweet at us, text the program. Love hearing from each and every one of you. 'Tis the Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
The Gallup poll took a look back 2021, as well as Pew. They got big insights. 39% of us identify as independents. I'm independent. You're at top of the hour. To my independent mind and thought. Doesn't mean I don't have some conservative views. Doesn't mean I don't have some liberal ideas or whatever you want to call them. It just, I'm independent. I don't want to be tied down to a party because it's not like, I look at the Democratic Party and the Republican Party. If you were to sit back and you looked at them honestly, you say, this is the party, right? This is in theory what they stand for. I think all of us know that the minute, just like with religion, people get in there, human beings go in and they take the idea and they twist it. And they go, oh, we're going to go over here. We're going to pull it here. I'm going to use this part of it. I'm not going to use this part of it. And that's the problem with getting tied down to one party is it's not the belief of what it should stand for. It's the fact that the ideals of that have been twisted. But 39% now identify as independents. That's 9 points higher than Democrats and 10 points higher than Republicans. Whoa. The pandemic. Guess what? We had some optimism. We had some frustration. But the reality is people are over it. People are over it, and it is wearing off. The Faucis, I've said for the last year, it's you have to have a new voice. Fauci became political and then polarizing. And to keep that continued, you can't. You have to move away from him. Oh. Here's something else. Support for interracial marriage, 94%. Same-sex marriage, 70%. Record high, legalizing marijuana. What? No, man, 70%, 68%. Oh, wow. At the same time, an unwelcome high of 32% of Americans say drugs have been a cause of trouble in their family. Yeah. It's not drugs. It's the abuse of stuff. Right? It's the abuse of stuff. Oh, yeah, I guess I could see that. I could see that. How about relationships when it comes to black and white? Reflecting the heightened attention of race relations, according to the Gallup poll, since the police killing of George Floyd in 2020, Americans believe that good relations exist between black and white people in the U.S. have reached a new low of 42% after ascending from 44% in 2020. How much of that is real? Goes back to the media. Remember, when it comes to the media, if it bleeds, it leads. It's about conflict. This became ever so present once we started having true reality TV, where because reality TV is not reality, right? It's like, none of this is reality. Hey, let's have 5 women who are vapid and plastic, and their husbands bitch about life, get together, and then we'll have them fight over stuff, right? We'll have them fight over stuff because that became interesting. Sitting there talking about their kids did in school that day or what's going on with their mother and, oh, she's got... No, nobody wants to hear that. They want to see 2 fake people with fake boobs throw things at each other and argue over stuff that's stupid. Little people, big world. I got a great idea. Let's have these little people build a Remember when they built essentially a catapult? Travis, yeah. Remember that? It's like, whoa, we should put one of them and shoot him across. I mean, that's what they do in real life. Well, then we're going to take them there. We're going to put them on we're going to have them parachute. It's like, no, that's not what they do in real life. Nobody does that. That's because conflict and stuff like that gets eyeballs. And that's good for ratings. But ratings are down. Ratings are down huge. In fact, this to me was, I shouldn't find it shocking, but I think the amount of collapse in some things, social media interaction with news articles was down from 2021 into from 2020 to 2021, 65%. That means people sharing articles and interacting with the news side of things was down 65% in social media. Cable news primetime viewers down 36%. Why is that big? Fox, they held their own, but they were still down. MSNBC and CNN, you have no viewers. You don't. You have 0 viewers. When Chris Cuomo was your primetime king and he had, 700,000 viewers? You've got nothing. You've collapsed. And viewers in the areas that matter. Let's remember this too, something that's big, because there's only certain areas that advertisers look for, was down tremendously. People are going to different areas, but they're also over it. They're over it. Big time. A growing number of people are becoming and staying childless, right? They're saying it's that. They're not going to have children. Some 44% of non-parents age 18 to 49 say it's not too or all likely that they will have children someday. That's up from 37% in 2018. That's big. That is huge. And of course, you then still have the fallout of the big lie or whatever it was, which is still going on. The battle is still going on. Not a lot changed. We're still fighting the same battles. And this is where the media plays this game about like, oh, it matters. It doesn't matter. It matters because you say it matters. But to the everyday person who's trying to put food on their table, to the everyday person who's trying to put gas in their car, to the everyday person who's working 2 jobs or hoping their kid's school's going to be open, so much of this stuff doesn't matter the way that they think it does. It just doesn't. And I think you would like to think they're, you always hear politicians say this. Hey, it's about dinner table topics. It's about being able to look that person in the eye and other parts of the country and really get a sense. No, you've lost touch with the average person. It's like these damn rules they make up for kids in school, as if they've never met a child. We'll have them wear a mask 24/7. In between bites, they have to put their mask back on. I'm like, have you ever met a kid? I mean, ever. There's the frustration. When you look from 2019 to 2020, then the change happened. Then you had the big lie after the big giant debacle. You had a nightmare of a first year for a president. Let's be real. It was a debacle. It was a nightmare. It was an unmitigated failure. This thing was awful. Inflation through the roof. Omicron, just hear him last week. There's no federal solution. Talking to all the governors in the states. So what do you mean there's no federal solution? No, there isn't. We've been saying that. Now, there's things the feds need to come up with, including all the testing, right? And all the BS that you guys have to do because you have all that crazy, wacky, well, this test doesn't count. You got to go get another test. Well, why do you have me taking this GED test if you're not going to believe this test? Well, we just want to make sure. So wait, I took a test that is approved, but then you want me to get another test? Regardless of the outcome? Why didn't you send me to get the first test? Those are things. He got very little done on infrastructure, but he got something done. Then he's got the Build Back Better, which is not going to be building anything back better, and it's not going to happen. He's got immigration that's a nightmare. It's been a nightmare year for him. But 2022, what do we have? Well, Omicron's peaking, but this may be a good thing because it being less deadly, it is less deadly, and the fact that it spreads so fast is probably going to get us closer to some sort of herdish immunity sooner rather than later. That's good news. We have got a marketplace jobs-wise where people have opportunities now to go out there. Labor participation's down, but you've got, while inflation's up, so are salaries. 22 states and like 46 cities and counties, municipalities across the country have raised their minimum wage. So there's things to look forward to that are good. And then you've got a huge year when it comes to the election. And I don't know what that's going to look like. Because just as much right now as I could look and think, the Dems have a shot of hanging on potentially to the Senate. They've got no shot of hanging on as things stand today with the House. But the reality is that could change in a heartbeat because both sides have known to grab defeat from the jaws of victory on numerous occasions. So there's a lot of unknown. But the thing that we can do is we can live our lives and we can get over this crap and live through it and above it when it comes to the needless fighting that is going on between elites who really care very little about you or I and mostly care about what kind of money we can throw at them, whether it's $10 or $10,000, and how we can continue to give them the most important thing we have, which is a vote to keep them in power. And that's where this year, I think we need to take a long, hard look at ourselves and saying, who's the man or woman we want to put in a position of power to go to D.C. or to go to a state capital, whatever it is, to do the bidding for the people that's there for the people rather than the party and their personal selves. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at us, text the program. Love hearing from all of you. Talk about Betty White. She passed away. I got into an argument somewhat on Twitter, which I didn't need to because apparently people don't understand life. Chad Benson Show.
Deep states? No. Deep doo-doo? Yeah. The Chad Benson Show.
That is me. So, John Madden died, and then Harry Reid died not long after that, and I tweeted out, somebody better hide Betty White, because her birthday was coming up. I think it's was supposed to be the 17th, I think. She turned 100. She's getting a lot of pub for that. People asking, how do you live so long and all of these things. And lo and behold, she passed away, and people got mad at me. Like, I did it. Like, oh, Chad, you did it. Like, no, I didn't. I mean, let's be real. I had to explain to one person. Like, they were visibly, you could tell they were upset with me. They were DMing me, and I was like, settle down. Because if I told you today that you were going to live to be 99 years old, just shy of 100, that you were going to do that in relatively good to great health, that you were going to live in an amazing world, work in an industry which you loved for 8 decades, be beloved by not only your coworkers, but the country as a whole. It was crazy the way, like, they were mad. There were some people who were generally mad. And I'm like, you need to settle down. Settle down. People don't. Okay. One of the things that should be your New Year's, whatever it is. For me, I have goals, vision boards, the whole 9 yards. But for other people, they've got resolutions, is to not take yourself so seriously. And that's hard for people to do. It's so hard for people to do. You're upset about somebody who you never met, who lived the most amazing life that you could think of, who died at 99. You're upset about that. What about something that really happens in your life? Is that going to upset you? Probably. And then, of course, you've got the political side of things, because even Betty White dying doesn't mean that there can't be politics involved.
My understanding is that it was natural causes. Betty White's close friend and agent Jeff Witches tells ABC News about the TV legend's death, adding that White died in her sleep, in her own bed, and that she didn't have illnesses or anything else. He says people are putting it out there that she had a COVID-19 booster shot on December 28th, was experiencing side effects, and died December 31st, but that's not true, he says. She never had a booster. And he says people should stop politicizing her death.
They don't know how. They don't know how. People love to politicize everything. It used to be, I mean, there's an old adage, right? Never let it didn't matter what kind of story it was. Didn't matter if they were talking bad about you or talking good about you. As long as they were talking about you. Never let a tragedy go to waste. Now, it's that times a billion. And because social media has given us that. And that's a sad, sad state that we find ourselves in. That's why when you hear me talking about stuff, when I get frustrated, it's like Marjorie Taylor Greene. She was kicked off Twitter and Facebook. Do I like her? No. I think her and Bobbitt and a lot of these other people are absolute charlatans. They're grifters. But I think AOC's a grifter. Ilhan Omar. They're celebrities. They're in it for themselves. They raise a ton of money. Everything is an attack against them, and they're standing up for something. AOC, I love how she goes to Florida and she hangs out, right? But then when people criticize her, she's just like, oh, because they want to have sex with me. Again, nobody wants to date you. Have sex with you. But it goes to show you the insanity of it. They're looking for something. Betty White dies? Oh, my God, it's because she got the vaccine, and that's what killed her. Really, she's 99. I could think of 1,000 things that would kill her. A cold, a sneeze, a draft. Just nuts. It is crazy. Maybe this year we take ourselves less serious. Or maybe do what this guy did. Can you believe this guy died? I love this is the headline. Man, 75, dies after plunging 100 foot into Hawaii's Kilauea. Body is found 8 hours after he was reported. And I'm like, oh, well, yeah, that'll do it. I mean, I don't know if you're aware of this. I think it's the most active volcano that's out there. And apparently he went to a place where anyone? You shouldn't go. He crossed over safety barriers and went to a closed area. It has the highest threat score of any active volcano in the country and one of the highest volcano threat scores in the world. He's 75, and he wandered off, and I'm sure there'll be lawsuits coming. Can't make fun of that? No, you can't. Maybe he was done. Maybe he just thought, you know what, I've had enough. And I want my family to see me in the headlines. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Tweet at me. Text the program. Love hearing from each and every one of you. It's good to be back. Again, thanks, Craig, for filling in to me. You guys have a great, blessed rest of your day. It's a Tuesday, short week for us, which is nice. Go get yourself a taco, as always. Night-night, Jack.
This is the Chad Benson Show.